So we are already in the Brexit era, and we are starting only now to see the first implications of the referendum, implications for the economic performance of both the UK and implications for the political implications, economic implications, both for the UK and the EU. What has not been discussed as much as the economic implications is the implications of Brexit for the law, for the European law, for the EU law, and for the way the EU law has created the existing framework, and in particular the implications of Brexit for human rights. Are there implications, and if so, which are these implications?
At this moment in time, it's a bit difficult to say exactly what the implications will be, and that's because EU law nowadays is strictly linked to European human rights law. And the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights clearly says in its explanations that many of the rights that are protected under the Charter derive from the European Convention of Human Rights and the case law of the European Court of Human Rights. What the Charter does is provide further protection if necessary, and that has happened at times because the Court of Justice has said that specific articles like Article 4, which mirrors Article 3 of the European Convention of Human Rights on prohibition of torture, inhuman degrading treatment, only represents a floor in Article 3 itself of the Convention for Article 4 of the EU Charter. So what that means for the UK specifically is that it will be very difficult for them to separate the two, to severe domestic law from that part of domestic law that was implementing EU law, simply because EU law in turn is in a way an implementation of European Convention rights. So at the moment the government hasn't made it clear whether they want to repeal the Human Rights Act, which incorporates the rights of the European Convention. It's no longer on the top agenda. At one point they did say that they wanted to scrap it and introduce a Bill of Rights, a British Bill of Rights, but at the moment it doesn't seem to be so central to their campaign or to the changes that they want to make at the moment, because the focus is very much on migration. So the implications are a bit unclear at this moment. So probably what they might decide to do is to go on a case-by-case basis, so identify specific acts of Parliament and have a look at the provisions, and then maybe decide to repeal those acts.
And what would you say is the implication of Brexit for the way the European Union addresses issues of human rights? Would there be any change in this respect as a result of the fact that we do know, for example, or it has been common wisdom that the UK has been acting as an outlier with respect to the European Court of Human Rights or with respect to other issues related to European law? Do you think that there might be any change in towards that direction as a result of the fact that the UK won't be there anymore in order to drive things towards the opposite direction?
Well, I think we've already seen a change with the opinion of the court last year in December, when the judges decided that the EU is still not ready to accede to the European Convention of Human Rights. That was already, if you want, a halt, to stop to the process of further integration in relation to human rights. Because as things stand now, the EU doesn't have competence either anyway with regard to human rights. So there's a lot of promotion of human rights, but the reality is that the EU doesn't have competence in the field of human rights. So the fact that the court has stopped that process is a step backwards. So this was even before Brexit. But on the other hand, I don't think that Brexit will stop the way the EU portrays itself as a global human rights actor. I think that will carry on, because we see it even in the more recent trade deals, even that there's always a clause on human rights. So I think that won't change. I think if anything, probably it might help to move a step forward, because the UK has always been against even having the EU Charter in the first place. So it might actually work in favour of further protection of human rights.